Hey guys, welcome back to the Wild Wrestling Channel. I am your host, Seth. Today, welcome back. It's What If episode 6. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about what if Big E won the 2021 Royal Rumble. Play the intro. Now, this concept might seem a little random, but I watched the 2021 Royal Rumble show a little bit back, and it just made me think of it. They had a backstage segment, and I just pictured something that I actually think would have been kind of cool, so just hear me out in this video. But first off, let's actually talk about what happened. At the actual 2020 Royal Rumble, we saw Edge win the Royal Rumble, and he eventually went to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship and a triple threat with also Daniel Bryan. Reigns ended up beating them both, but Big E was also in this match. So, in this timeline, I'm going to say, what if, instead of Edge getting that last elimination over Randy Orton, he gets the elimination over him, but then Big E's in there too, and Big E ends up eliminating Edge. So, Big E wins the Royal Rumble and is now heading to WrestleMania 37 to challenge the champion of his choosing. So, later on in this, Big E decides that he wants to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. But at the time, he was Intercontinental Champ. So first off, I think the best way for, say, he attacks or just calls out Reigns, the best way for Reigns to get some payback and build that rivalry is I say we see Reigns cost Big E the Intercontinental Championship in a match, and he could drop it to like an Apollo Crews, Sami Zayn, really anyone. But this would help build the tension in the rivalry about Big E now really sour and mad at Roman for costing him the Intercontinental title, which will just build in the rivalry. On a side note, at the time, Jimmy Uso wasn't really back for wrestling yet, but let's just say, since this is a fantasy timeline, let's just say he healed really quickly and he was able to be back in time for WrestleMania. Well, at the time, the New Day were the Raw Tag Team Champions. So, what if we see the Usos cost the New Day the Raw Tag titles by attacking them, and then they will also build a tension and a rivalry there with the Bloodline, which will just keep building towards WrestleMania. So now let's say the New Day and the Bloodline are really upset at each other. The New Day is pissed at the Bloodline for costing them their titles. So it is scheduled that after all this backlash and talk at each other, they're just yelling and talking at each other in the ring, Adam Pearce was the general manager of both shows at the time, eventually decides that at Fastlane we could have the New Day versus the Bloodline in the main event to lead up to this match at WrestleMania. So we would end up getting a huge six-man tag match that I think would really help build tension. It would be a big brawl, and personally I think we would see the New Day win this one and stand tall over the Bloodline. Like, if Big E, probably not pinning Reigns, but if Big E or something, they just pin like Jay or Jimmy, I think it would help keep the New Day up and running on the road to WrestleMania. So let's just say they keep talking, they keep cutting these promos for weeks leading up to the show, but it finally happens. We get to WrestleMania 37. So the first thing before we get into those matches is, since Edge normally wins the Royal Rumble, I actually was thinking, what would Edge do, because that's where he was at. So at the time, when I think that because of the feud that he had in the Royal Rumble before he got injured, I think he could face Randy Orton in like a one final time match. I know people are going to be like, but he already faced him so much, just end the rivalry back in 2020. I just think if we just kind of did one last match, especially if it's like Edge eliminates Randy, they had that huge brawl in the Royal Rumble, I think if anything, it'll be kind of a good payoff to just end it at WrestleMania 37 with them finally in front of a crowd, Edge and Randy going one-on-one, which would be really cool to see. So then if we get to the actual matches that I want to talk about here. So I think at first we talked about the Usos versus the New Day. I think they would do well on either night. Realistically, I think they would do better on night one, kind of bringing that hype and this rivalry there. I think they're two great tag teams. I think they have a great feud that they've had for many years. They would throw down, probably be more of a brawl in my opinion, with them just hitting super kicks and crazy moves off the top rope, and I think it would all just go all around ringside. And this would definitely be a match, in my opinion, that would really be a big hype for the crowd. I think if this actually happened, it would be a match on night one that people were really, really excited to see. And I think we could see many cool spots. And to be honest, in the end, I think we would see the Usos get the win and stand tall. I think, based on what I think still what happened with them later in the year winning the SmackDown Tag Titles and becoming the longest reigning champs in history, I think that all still would have happened. So this is the best way, in my opinion, to really boost them, to get them still to that spot. But I think it would be an awesome match, but I think the Usos would get the job done. And now if we look at the actual main event of night 2, Big E versus Roman Reigns. So this would have been a heated rivalry. Roman cost Big E the IC title. The New Day defeated the Bloodline at Fastlane. They've been talking trash, but it all comes down to this. They finally go one-on-one. They throw everything they have at each other with so many cool, neat spears or moves. And they just, like the New Day Uso match, it's kind of a bit of a brawl mixed with a cool match, as they're just both, as Big E not only now wants to win the title, it's personal with him too, and Roman also feels that grudge about, he's mad that they beat him at Fastlane, so it's very personal between these two. I think throughout the match, as Roman beats down Big E, he's just yelling at him, just telling him, you're just a tag team guy, you'll never make it on your own, you'll never be a world champ, you're just not the guy who's supposed to lead this company, I am. And he just keeps beating him down. But I think Big E keeps fighting through. He hits some big moves, could hit a big ending, but just a near fall there. They keep fighting. Big E's giving it everything. He's got the crowd is behind him. But in the end, I think one final big spear, 1, 2, 3. I think Roman Reigns walks out of WrestleMania 37, the Universal Champ. And even though everyone wanted Big E to win, I think Roman Reigns would close this book on this rivalry and continue into his long reign that I think would still happen into the future. So all in all, Big E gave it the best shot he had, but Roman Reigns would still continue on. Don't really know where they would go here, probably. I'm still hoping that I think in the future it would be still cool if he won the Money in the Bank. Even though that would seem like a lot, though, like, I don't know how that would affect it, because people would be like, you won the Royal Rumble and the Money in the Bank. But if you could still find a way to win the WWE Championship, I still would want him to win Money in the Bank and win the WWE Championship, because I think people are just so behind him. Like, and plus, it would prove, if like of what I was saying in this video happened in that match, it would prove Roman wrong. If Roman was berating him, saying you're never going to be a world champ, you're just a tag team guy, if Big E actually won the title, it would make it so much more sweeter. And yeah, I think the Bloodline would continue to be the top faction. I think the New Day would find a way to bounce back, but that's what would happen after WrestleMania 37, in my opinion. Guys, so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if you enjoyed this video, and turn on that bell so you get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.